Hi, everybody. We're here, and we finally found the one thing we really wanted to show you today. But let's see. I'm looking to see if anybody's. I will put, as I always do on my things, and we'll have time today because we didn't get a lot of people spontaneously. Although I realized that was the freakiest graphic I've ever put up about destroying. I want to take us all with us. And I had just posted that yesterday, Terry, to let people know. And then I went and looked, and there you were having this lovely, calm, insightful conversation with Kim from Intuitive View. And I went, oh, that makes my post look like trailer trash. But no offense
No,
to
it
the
didn't.
trailers.
Yeah, no, I loved it. I loved it. That was funny, and I was looking for it at the same time you were putting it up, so it was yeah, it was
Mm-hmm.
perfect timing. Hey, everybody, how are you? Um, you know, and then we had to look and look and look for the planets. So we found the planets,
We
everybody.
found the astrologic chart, but the I told Terry we kind of wait until the universe moves us or presents us with something. And this is a note I got from a woman who housed me in one very cold winter in 2008 while I was up in Iowa working for Obama. And this is what she sent me yesterday, and it just struck me. This is so true with where we are now. The old tale of where the rabbi was asked by one of his students, "Why did God create atheists?" After a long pause, the rabbi finally responded with a soft but sincere voice. "God created atheists," he said, "to teach us the most important lessons of them all, the lesson of true compassion." You see, when an atheist performs an act of charity, visits someone sick, helps someone in need, cares for the world, he's not doing it because it's of his religious teachings. He does not believe that God has commanded him to perform this act. In fact, he does not believe in God at all. So the action is based on a true sense of morality. Look at the kindness he bestows on the others simply because he feels it's right. He said, when someone reaches out to you for help and you should never say, "I'll pray and God will help you." Instead, for that moment, you should become the atheist. Imagine there is no God who could help them and said, "I'm here to help." And I think that there's a lot of that. I did a show yesterday on becoming politically involved. And I know people like, ooh, politics, politics. Why would you want to touch dirty politics? And it's all come to pass. My mother, who was a Republican, but she used to, she was a sweet little church going Episcopalian lady, a little neurotic. She was my mother, but she used to, people come up to her all the time and they go, "Helen, why do you involve yourself in those politics? Why do you sully your hands by touching that sort of information?" And she just look them straight in the eye. And this is what I grew up with, guys, which will explain a lot. I'd rather sully my hands on them before they sully their hands on me. And that's really kind of where we need to be now, guys. You may think it's unpleasant, or I meet some people who aren't totally in sync with me, but you may meet a lot of people who aren't, and they may teach you a little bit more about where you are on your journey. So that's my moral lesson for the day. Go become an atheist. No, I mean, just do something out of true compassion from yourself, not because it scores points with me, not because Terry thinks more of you, although those are perfectly good reasons to do stuff. Anyway, you got anything to say, Miss Terry?
Yeah, I used to go to the School of Metaphysics, and the guy that ran it, Jerry Rothermill, he would talk. People would come in sometimes, and they would be atheists, and it was a metaphysical school, obviously spiritual. And he would always say, "It's it's more interesting to teach somebody that doesn't believe in spirit about spirit because the curiosity is there. It's not the
Mm-hmm.
blindness of following. It's like they really open up your windows and theirs. So I think that curiosity is really interesting.
Yeah. And, and just, it's really true. If you don't take a stand, it's like people don't like to talk about religion and politics, and Hypnicity just commented
Yeah.
in. Her mother didn't.
Yeah.
But in a way, they can make you more tribal if you don't learn to discuss with each other. You won't find out what the other person may have to offer. Now, I agree. When you listen to them interview the crazies outside certain political rallies that should remain nameless, it's bizarre. But, you need to understand that that's out there too. And we need to be compassionate for them because, they're walking around in a fact-free world, or of their own facts. That's what's made politics in the years I've worked in it so hard. We went from a period of time where I had some good friends that were Republicans. I used to run nonpartisan races where people, didn't have an R or D after their name. It was just, what are they going to do for my neighborhood? Or what movement are we involved in that's supposed to help improve our cities? And you could talk to people from the other side. They saw facts from a different point of view, but we all had the same facts.
Yeah.
But now, that's what makes talking to people like that so hard. There are no facts. So my thing is, don't talk to them. Go find a person that maybe hasn't seen things the way you see it and convince them, or bring them over, or you haven't seen things the way they see them, so you can come over and help.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that made a lot of sense. There's that Buddhist monk. She has red hair. Anyway, I can't remember her name, but you guys in the chat will know her, or you'll know her, Nancy Jean. And she's authored a bunch of books and stuff. And she talks about social discourse and how when we come together with someone, we can all find something that we agree on. Like maybe we all love our families. Maybe not everybody, but usually.
You like plants. We all seem to like plants.
Right? Or we like ice cream, whatever. There's always something that we can agree on. And once we find that agreement, then it builds. And I kind of look at that now. Like I was talking about, I went to see this concert this weekend. It was a Stevie Nicks concert. Common Ground, right? Hypnicity. And there were people from all walks of life there. There were young kids. There were, because everybody loves the 80s music. And there were people there two-stepping, couples that were in their 70s, which sounds pretty young to me now. And it was all walks of life that were there. And it was nice because everybody was just having a good time and smiling at each other. And I'm like, there's the arts can bring people together. There's all sorts of things. Yeah. 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 But, and I was going to mention about your mom too. I married a Republican.
It was a willful act, people. She did this of her own volition.
Yeah. Yeah. And now he did vote for Obama. He switched over when that happened because he decided that he had a business and he was fiscally responsible. He liked the Republicans when they were fiscally responsible. So that was really important to him. And then he decided, and it wasn't because of any one person, but he just decided as a group they were no longer fiscally responsible for anybody but a few people. So, yeah.
One of the things I learned back in the old days was I was talking with a woman, and she was African American, and she was very involved with Republican politics and stuff and their point of view at that point. And she just turned a blind eye in a way when she and I talked. She said, "Oh yeah, they do that, but maybe if I stay in here, I can make a difference." But I finally said, "Well, when you first moved here to Dallas and you had a choice of going to either place," because she hadn't been politically active where she was before, it ends up that the reason she became really politically active with the Republicans was they treated her so well. They went out of their way, And I knew exactly what she meant, because there's a lot of liberals that think, well, I'm liberal and I have these great ideas. I don't have to treat you like anything. And trust me, folks, there was a big punch that it's changed somewhat. But that was, and eventually the last time I saw this woman was when I was working with the Obama campaign, and she was standing in our office. So she finally came. She couldn't take it much more anyway. But find if it's there's no way, I don't think, to heal my family, and that's a very overriding statement. But I'm 75, and I'm not going to put the energy in it, and I know they're worse than me, so they're not going to. So, I just accept that. But I've talked to people who have managed to cross those ridges, but in part it was for being really, really honest. Two sisters I know, the third sister became QAnon, and you talk about a thing to live with. And she'd learned to be a grifter, the sister that was in QAnon. And so the family would do things together, and they'd always been very precise, because they were three basically single women, getting through life. And they would divide everything very evenly. And they have a brother who's done considerably better. None of the sisters are out holding cups on street corners, may I say. But the brother has done better than that. And, he'd pitch in a little bit more, but they would take these family vacations. And this year they planned one without her. And she found out, and she was like, well, why aren't I coming? And they said, your portion would be this amount of money. And she said, oh, well, when I get she had been a nurse of some sort. And when I get my act back together, and they said, no, there's no getting your act back together. If you want to be part of the family, you have to be part of the family in the same way the rest of us are. And all of a sudden, they quit getting the whacked out QAnon calls, because she was still trying to get on their good side. She went on the vacation, but she paid her part.
Wow.
So sometimes we keep thinking, maybe if I'm a little kinder, I can get them in.
Yeah. Yeah, there have to be boundaries. Yeah.
And
especially, yeah.
And the other thing we're going to talk about is, why do we all feel crazy? And Terry and I spent a good chunk of this morning going crazy trying to find this chart for you. Now, the proviso on this is, Terry and I are not astrologers. We don't even like to play one on YouTube, but we're about to. I'm going to put it up. And Terry found this. I looked. I pulled it over to my place to transfer it, and it would not come across. But this is the chart today. This is the astrologic chart. Now, y'all want to know why everybody feels crazy? Look at all those planets, especially these ones that are, Jupiter and Uranus are their own problem. And that's in my birth sign. But look at all these planets sitting on top of each other. And if you take the point of view that planets are energy, all this energy, it's like every thought you ever had in your head is all screwed up in one little scrunch. And it's going to get worse, because the moon's going to come over here, and then it's going to be in this scrum of stuff. And then it starts to tick, 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 and move away. Things start to, because that's Mars, for those of you who don't know what those little symbols mean in charts. And that's Venus. And they both move pretty quickly. And they've gotten past Pluto, which is still doing its dance between Aquarius and Capricorn. I think it's retrograde right now. It's about to do it again. This planet moves so slow. When it's retrograde, it looks like it's fast forwarding. It's just awful. It's going to be over in Capricorn for a little bit of the year. Then it's going to come back in. And then it goes back to Capricorn no more. And it was part of the act that the band that got back together and created another plague with the COVID thing that happened January 12th, 2020. So, but this is why you feel crazy. Because everything's stepping on everything, and they're all really close to Neptune. And trust me, Neptune's like the hangover you can't get rid of. And And the sun's gonna come over here. It's when the sun gets over here and hits into Aries, which will be the spring solstice, which is a day earlier. I think it's the 20th of March. But it's going to be like when the sun makes it into Aries, to me, that always seems like a time when a breath of fresh air hits the door. You've done all this dark stuff. You've done and you know what? The sun, I like Pisces. I have 2 kids that are Pisces. They're fine. But it's a very watery place. And a lot of these planets don't like being in water. And the sun, I think, sort of gets murky when it's in water. Needs to go through all the phases so it can use its energy. But when the sun hits here, hits the first of Aries, that's when we're going to feel a lot of relief. So if you've not been sleeping and you've been trying to figure out why in the hell is going on with me, I feel like this year I was a bear that went into hibernation, and I'm just starting to come back out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a lot. Everybody's been talking in the chat about having headaches and feeling a heaviness around them today and whatnot. And I felt that there are times during the day when all of a sudden I'll go into a different story and I'll think, oh, you know, I must not be very good at this or something, or somebody would have called or something crazy. And I'm just like, not that I'm good at everything by any means, but like being in a crowd of people and like, well,
Mm-hmm.
what's my story here? And I was in that story when I went to that concert a little bit. And
Mm-hmm.
then I can dance this out, or I can look at people and smile and they smile back. And but it's easy to get in one of those stories, especially if there's somebody with a glass of wine that's dancing with it right next to you, right? You can
Right.
move.
Especially if you're not supposed to have a glass of wine. And you're like,
Totally.
and it's also, I admire you for going out to a concert. I go out to eat occasionally, the closest thing I had to, I just don't go out and do things. Somebody wanted me to put together a party after the solar eclipse on the 7th or the 8th, whatever day it is, in April. And I thought about it, but that's when I think I was at my all-time low of not wanting to do anything. And I really said to the person, I don't want to take on the responsibility. And I actually had a space call me and say, we'll give you this big room. We'll give you all the waiters. I mean, it would have been, because I used to do that so often. It's not hard. And then I realized I didn't want to go be around people. And I have been a people person from day one, always out with other folks. And I admire you for going out and being in a group of people that are dancing and sweating and blowing germs on each other. I mean, I was never germaphobe. It never worried me until my guide sent me home and said, we'll tell you when you can leave. I think partly it's that they've never told me it's still safe to leave.
Well, and you have health reasons not to as well.
I don't like not being able to breathe. Yes, it's very tricky.
Yeah. There is that. Yeah, and it did occur to me, and I love that you imbibe in your energy. And does this feel comfortable? No, it doesn't. I'm not going to do it. And it was a friend's birthday, and I did have a little bit of qualms about going out, but once I got there, I was like, okay, what's my story now?
Mm-hmm.
And kind of changed it up, but yeah, it's hard when you're used to being home a lot, and I'm home a lot.
And well, the other part is in December of 2021, we all had our shots. We were all like good little pets. We needed our little tag in our account.
Yeah.
And a woman wanted me to come read at her husband's birthday party, and it was in December. And I had read it all the time, and she is the most delightful crowd of friends. And I saw it. They were saying in all the press that the incidence of COVID was way down and blah, blah, blah. So it was the 18th of December, and I went and I worked her party. And I'll tell you how strict she was at the party. Everybody had to show their Vax card to get in the door. And she warned them. She said, if you come in without it, you're not getting in the door. And if you knew her, you would understand you're not getting in the door. And there's going to be about 95 to 100 people there. But she was so worried about me that she had me come early. And she had a special meal set up in the reading room for me, so I didn't even have to go out. She had a person stationed at the door that ran out to get if I wanted water, if I whatever I wanted. And I went and I read people all night, and they were absolutely delightful. Everybody that was in the place had been vaccinated, and we were doing great. And the next day I woke up really tired, and I thought, well, I haven't been out in so long. Well, when I woke up Tuesday morning with a horrible sore throat, like when I had mono, I realized I got something.
Yeah.
Somebody cripped, and I don't think the person did it on purpose.
No.
And so I called her to tell her what was going on. And she started crying on the phone, and she said, oh, not you too. And it ended up her best friend had come to the party and just said everything was fine, got an emergency notice from her workplace the next day, Sunday, go to the pharmacy, get tested for COVID. And it was the beginning of Omicron. And, when they said how virulent Omicron was, I told you the restrictions of people being in that house, because besides the fact the woman has a 12-year-old son, she didn't want exposed to COVID either. There were 104 people, she figures, were in that house.
Wow.
95 of them, she tracked them all down. 95 of them got Omicron.
Man.
And that, and my kids were like, we told you, Mom, if you're going out. And I was like, well, she pays good. But money is not everything, let me tell you. And so every time somebody says they want me to come somewhere, it has to really be out in the fresh air and the open air. And I really have to have a table that's far enough that and because of my restrictions, because I'm so paranoid, I've done like 3 parties. So.
Wow. I want to go to some of those parties, Nancy.
Oh, the last party I did was on Halloween, and this guy picks a party's theme. And this time it was the flying monkeys. And this guy's like 6'6", and he dresses up, and he gets a full-blown costume. He has a makeup artist come make up his face. I'll send you a picture of this guy. He did the devil once, and he almost couldn't get in the tent he provides for me because his horns were so big. And he has these great big, and he was completely painted black with all the right cut. And I said, guess where I was last night? And I sent it, this was before COVID. I sent it to a friend of mine, and she goes, who the hell are you hanging out with? Who the hell would be the right term? Well, we're going to look at some of our questions that we've gotten.
Okay.
Because Stella was in before we even, we were even on, when we were still madly scrounging for an astrology chart. Hi, Nancy. Do you believe that dreams are somewhat true? My dreams are so vivid. Yes. And what do you think? Because Terry does more of that kind of meditate and.
Yeah. I do a dream interpretation class too. And yeah, dreams can be very prophetic, and but they can also be lucid dreaming, where you're actually in the dream and having choices in the dream when they become vivid. And that's a really good place to get to, Stella. If your dreams are getting vivid, you can start playing around with that a little bit. And like, if you're in a situation in a dream and you don't like it, you can just change it. So start watching that too, because you can definitely dream something. Do you know Diana Oil Painter, Nancy Jean?
Yes, Diana Bowles.
Yeah, Diana Bowles. She's this type of a dreamer, Stella. And Lisa Smith too. I think it's Spirit Intuitive, or Intuitive Spirit. I think that's the name of her channel.
I don't do it as formally as they do, but
Yeah.
if I have something, if I've had a dream that's been really vivid, I'll talk to myself before I go to sleep at night, and I'll say, I want to get to this point, because I used to have a lot of dreams of wandering around in buildings and not being able to either find my way in or find my way out, but not being able to settle the issues. And I used to say, stop it where I can settle an issue, just so I could get it off my back. And I guess that's lucid dreaming. At the time, I didn't know that was lucid dreaming. I thought it was just getting me out of my own head.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. And it's a really good place to be. Yeah, I used to have these crazy dreams that my late husband would be in constantly. And
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, you got to get out of here. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you're not supposed to be here anymore.
Mm-hmm. Your
So,
non-helping matters.
yeah, yeah. And it was pretty interesting. He'd listen for a week. Yeah.
And then he'd be right back.
Yeah, pretty much.
My husbands know what I really think. My first husband would never come near one of my dreams. My second husband, he just felt like we settled everything. We had a long time. We had a couple months when we knew he was going, and we really settled everything. It's
Wow.
really wonderful. And I feel for people who have someone who dies suddenly, because then there's all that gunk left that needs to get. Apparently, if you're related to me, there's gunk. I don't know. Maybe all the rest of you have no gunk.
I have gunk.
But anyway, no, vivid dreams are really good, and you're going to have more vivid dreams. And a lot of the light and the energy and the waves, if you've watched any of the show I've done about there's this wave that they found was coming from the edge of the universe, and it ends up it's two black holes that are merging, and they're sending out all this crazy energy. And my journey into quantum physics starts in 2019, when I saw Rory Duff, and he was talking about how our part of the galaxy had rotated away from an area that protected us from the subatomic particles, and that subatomic particles that used to be so hard to find, they're everywhere. And they were kind of wondering, what are they going to do to us? Because if we get exposed before 2017 to subatomic particles, it caused a lot of mutations and problems. And now we've rotated, and there's no big gas cloud keeping us safe. And just it's making the sun crazy. Solar flares, all that stuff, they all trigger because we're all just energy. And so we're reacting like the sun. We're just not blowing out satellites.
Yeah.
But if you blow out a satellite, Stella, come back and write to us about it.
Yeah, definitely.
If we can't compromise, how can we compromise if we don't understand each other?
Well, I think that's just finding that, and I don't know if that was a question or just a part of the
question.
Chat. So I feel like we can always come together on something. Maybe it's the love of our family. Maybe it's the love of nature.
Mm-hmm.
Cars. Maybe you both like cars or art or something. But there's something pretty much, I mean, and we need to have boundaries about things too, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we don't agree on, and maybe you don't talk about them, or like your sister, you know. There's financial too. So
yeah, you're not going to take advantage of me. And so you just set up situations where that's plainly not going to happen.
Yeah.
And, it can be music, that people agree on. You get all different sorts looking at that.
Yeah. Which if somebody would have told me that I was going to be at a Stevie Nicks cover band a few years back, I'd be like, yeah, you're nuts, man. There's no way. But it was fun. It was different. Yeah.
And I think when we need to try different things so we can figure out what's fun, that's also a kind of a solution to that too.
Yeah.
And Cindy S is a change of heart. I don't know if we've really, how can we come? We just have to find something we can understand in each other. I'll tell you one of the things that years ago when I was studying astrology, but that's why I'm not an astrologer, because I realize I really suck at it. But my astrologer used to tell me I'd come and I'd talk to her about people I was working with that I just couldn't stand to be in the same room with them. In case you're wondering, I am not a wonderful corporate America person.
Either.
And she used to say to me, she said, you've got to develop more charity and more understanding, because she said, whenever someone really makes you nuts, look at what they're doing that really makes you nuts, because that's just your mind finding a mirror to reflect your least comfortable parts of yourself.
Yeah.
That's probably a part of yourself you won't look at either. But
yeah. What do I have to learn from this situation?
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we got a complete change of heart. I actually started following politics, and yes, I was born in the 60s and have seen a lot. Yes, you have. I can't understand how the pendulum has gone so far backwards. Read lots of history. That pendulum swings all over the effing place. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was always told. It's the pendulum's going to swing to the
Mm-hmm.
right, and it's going to swing back just as hard to the left. And and it's kind of healthy almost. I mean, not at this point in time because it's gone too far, but to have a little bit of a swing so that things can get ironed out and be able to swing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you don't want anybody that says this is it.
But if you know, I was thinking about this because there was listening to some of the people were saying that there should not be a separation of church and state. Well, the people who wrote that into our Constitution, they actually had family members killed in England, burnt, because they either were Protestant or weren't Protestant, or they were Catholic or they weren't Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
And, so they knew wherever they spoke. When the state gets involved with religion, it's a real problem.
Yeah.
And I think some of the fact that the white nationalism has shown up so plainly right now, because I've been in the South since 1967, and it's always been here. I was not part of it, nor did I seek it out, but it gets a point you can't avoid it. It's in its death throes. If you've ever watched movements go through their changes, when they're in their death throes, that's often when you'll see it most plainly. I mean, it thinks it's right, and it programs itself to say that. Same thing with people who said, we should all be able to use drugs and do whatever. I remember when I was first married, that book was written about open marriage, and I read that and I went, no. But, and it was kind of the end of the very secretive sort of sexual part of the revolution that the 50s had kept and 60s had kept its foot on the throat of. And so all of a sudden in the 70s, it came out and said, no, it should be like this. And it was too extreme. And so things drifted back another way. So
Yeah. When the Puritans came over, right, and founded the U.S., and it was kind of like, or not founded, but brought forth a lot of ideology that was really beautiful, especially if you were white, right? But not to everyone, obviously. But it was founded on principles of honor. Marianne Williamson has some really good, if you Google Marianne Williamson and Puritans and founding fathers of the U.S., they were fathers, weren't they? There weren't many mothers there, but it's quite interesting, the story behind that.
Well, the other one about Puritans and their morals, and you don't touch anyone until you're married and stuff. If you go back in their church books, which is where they post when people got married and then the births and all that stuff, most Puritan babies were born when their parents were married for 6 months. I had a friend who was a Vassar who actually did a thesis on this.
Wow.
And she went around and dug around in there. Yeah. So I think they were test driving in those days too. Okay. And this is something that happens to people. I no longer declare a party. I was once a party line Democrat. I don't follow the party line of anybody. I mean, my stuff always ends up being the more liberal. And if you show me a Republican that would do good things, then I'd give a look at them. But my favorite races that I ran were nonpartisan, where you were working for that individual. And they could have wrinkles outside of the lines of both parties, you know.
Yeah, purple is great.
Purple.
Yeah.
Purple's okay. Well, look at my hair. And hypnicity. Nope, that's the one I already did. Wait a minute. Okay, that was the end of our starred thing, so I'm going to start going down again. Everybody's saying hi to everybody, and we're really glad. Okay, this is true. You can learn a lot from people you don't agree with. You have your eyes open to a new perspective on things.
Yeah. It is interesting, isn't it? And it opens you up. Like it's like traveling, right? You travel within your mind, but you also, when you travel and you meet people of different cultures, and sometimes that culture is just maybe a political party, but it is interesting.
I worked with a woman who was head of LULAC for a while in Dallas, and she's running a political campaign. Anyway, I was talking one night with her husband about Abraham Lincoln, and he goes, he's no hero to our community. And I'm like, what? So the next time they were going to have a really big meeting, and they invited me to come hear the lecture. And he was from the University of Texas, and his career had been built on explaining how Abraham Lincoln had screwed over Hispanics when they came west. Wasn't just because we got to understand, a lot of Indian tribes didn't speak English, but they spoke Spanish because they'd been around them for so many more centuries. And it was a real eye opener to me about why people wouldn't think that much. And I grew up in the land of Lincoln. I used to go down to the little town he grew up in, or his town where he became known. And, you didn't dare say anything against Lincoln. But they've got a real gripe. They don't have a Civil War gripe like we wanted to secede and you wouldn't let us. He didn't give them a chance to secede. He just took millions of acres in the West away. Okay, now this is I don't know how Terry handles these questions. I do. A friend of mine, Pat, is being terrorized by an unhinged neighbor. How can she protect herself? I can read on that.
Okay.
I don't know if you read on those sorts of things.
Yeah, I'm happy.
I will tell you one thing. You people are going to think this woman makes up everything. I was head of Crime Watch for Dallas for quite a few years, and I wrote some handbooks on this stuff. I don't know where your friend lives. I don't know what the whole thing is, but whenever anyone tells me they're being terrorized or they're in fear of someone like that, I do call the police.
Yeah.
And I do report it, because then, believe it or not, even in a city as big as Dallas, they'll mark your house. And they will say, if you get a call from this place, move heaven and earth to get there. And that really saved a friend of mine's life once, because she thought and it took me forever to convince her to do it. The cops came and talked to her, and they agreed that something strange was. They can tell the nature of the threats, because they deal with all sorts of them. So I'm going to say, can your neighbor protect yourself? I would not ask anyone to get a gun or anything like that to do this, but we're going to look. 5-card spread, kid. And I'm going to go over to my table because I just think it works better. Okay. This is the past. and this is the present, and these are the future. And I think it's going to quit around October. But yes, she can protect herself. She needs to put up a boundary around her so that a lot of people know about it. That kind of slows them down because they sense somehow or another they're being watched. And yeah, it's really up to her kind of how this goes. She can bring in justice and speak the truth and make sure it's well known. I think he's going to end by October or 10 weeks. So 10 weeks would be the middle of the summer. He'll lay off because he's not going to be able to control what he wants to do, whatever he's trying to push her to do. She's not going to do it. She's going to have people with her working on it. What did you see, Terry?
Um, I saw they were showing me a pyramids, and I think that's 3 levels of protection.
Mm-hmm.
So if she can get a camera, and somebody here might know it, but some friends of mine got this camera system on their house, and it's quite inexpensive. You buy the cameras and you set it up to this app, and it's pretty good. If she can find some sort of balance, so getting a hold of the police, getting the camera, and also laying other types of problems, let go. So surrender and release, like let go anything, any type of communication, not trying to be right, not trying to be, or not trying to even, well, they're saying, yeah, no communication actually. That's possible. And take care of their body. I agree. They need to do a lot of body care about this, being gentle with themselves, but also protecting their body.
And she spoke with the police and they said they can't help her. I'm sorry she lives in a police department that's like that. The cops I talk with here would much rather help you in the first place than, mop it up later. But I think cameras are really good because if you can show this guy showing up in your doorstep, then I don't care how lazy your cops are, if that's their problem or how overwhelmed, that'll help it. But it shows that she's got about 10 more weeks of putting up with this clown, and something's going to happen. What you got?
New beginnings too.
Mm-hmm.
There's something's going to click. Yeah. Oh, he has mental issues. Yeah. I'm so sorry about that.
Okay, and I'm trying to fill in. Oh dear. I'll show you this one. Let's send some love and light towards MJ.
Oh,
They're in the ER because they couldn't breathe. Yeah, it's that time. I don't know where you live, but in Dallas, it's the time when all the pollen starts hitting and it stops my breathing. I wear a watch that tells what my oxygen sats are every night, and it actually has a thing on it. If it gets too low during the day, it will beep me and tell me. And you go, why does it need to beep you and tell you don't have enough oxygen? I am one of those sorry people who is what's called a non-perceiver. And I don't know that I'm losing my oxygen until I fall down to the ground and go boom.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's right up there with the fact I don't feel pain, typical pain. And I was walking around on a severely broken little toe for a day until I fell down and went boom. I passed out because the pain was so much. If I'd felt the pain would have been so much. But since I didn't feel the pain, my brain said, okay, shock. That's what shock's made for. It's made for people like me. But for you, MJ, I feel so sorry for you because not being able to breathe is just the scariest thing for me. And send love, light, and prayers in that direction. And then.
Yeah. Much love to you, MJ.
Yeah, and a lot of people put it in after we had, after I put it up. So, and then we've got Singing Tree. I'm the same Nancy Jean. I was the extroverts of extroverts, and now I'm happy to stay home at 71. Fine. We change, we grow. And some people might think you're growing into being out less. Well, yeah, especially if I know a lot of my extrovert stuff and things I used to go organize and do and run around and do was so I didn't have to deal with me. The happier I am to deal with me, the more I like being around me. So you're in the moving, singing tree. From my perspective, you're moving in the right direction.
Yeah. I did a lot of volunteering and other stuff. I mean, it was just like I was on every committee, everything, and working in a business, and it was just like, yeah, it's nice and relaxing. Yeah,
Cindy S. would go out for a card reading party.
totally. Yeah.
And let's see. There's a lot of names here must be coming from your channel. I don't know. Bosin, Kiba, I remember. Kiba, I've seen before.
Mm-hmm. Kiba. I think JJ's here too.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Hi, JJ. Hi, everybody.
Okay, this is someone, maybe you can help them. Fatima, I thought I was subscribed to your channel. Do you know who Fatima is?
Yeah, I know who Fatima is. And that's Brenda. That's the woman that I told you about with the possum.
Okay.
The talking possum.
She's got a talking possum. Fatima, you've got to find her.
Yeah, Fatima, if you can you can't put it in now, but you can put it in on mine because I think you're a moderator on my channel.
Well, maybe she's in here. I don't know.
Yeah.
Fatima, if you can put it in.
Yeah. Oh, Richie's here too. Hey, Richie.
If you really are new over to my channel, like and subscribe, please. Help. That's why we co-read, is so that we can help build each other's understanding. Because trust me, Terry and I could get on the phone. We could be there for hours.
And Nancy Jean has developed the garden, which is right above me that way. Mm-hmm. And that's the crystal garden. And it's like a new way of reading. It's like tarot cards, but it's new. Mm-hmm. And it's beautiful. It's really interesting. And she's also an expert on crystals and tarot, and teaches a lot of classes.
And I've talked more politics today than I have in a long time.
Yeah.
I'm going to set up my garden and read for Kiba.
Oh, nice.
So you can see kind of how it works. And I teach tarot. I've been teaching a class. I'm thinking about putting another class together. 6 weeks. I actually send you real materials so you have stuff with you. I teach it with Jeffrey from Ripe Color, and Jeffrey, who lives in Mexico. And
he was on the show last week.
Oh, okay. Then
yeah,
that's right. That Jeffrey. And Jeffrey and I do weekly readings, which we post out every Friday night, kind of keep you up with what's going on. And are you going to read on Kiba's?
Yeah, I'll read. So Kiba, I'm getting for this month, you're coming into your power. So it's like, and it's coming out of your mouth. So they're saying, use your voice wisely. Like, really understand that you're speaking authentically, not just out, but inwards to yourself. This is going to cause abundance.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever you're doing, it's like bringing in all sorts of energy. And I think you're going to have a lot of fun with it. When I get the children, sometimes it's about fun, sometimes it's about your kids. But for you, I see you dancing. I see you doing something really fun. And then it pulls in something's going to in your dreams. Just watch your dreams too. I think you're getting a lot of messages in your dreams.
Okay, I'm trying to pull this up so Kiba can see. what we got going here. Okay. There are 5 stones in the garden: body, mind, spirit, values, and clarity. Grounding. This is a pyrite. It's for grounding. And I throw them in the garden, and then each of these spaces has a particular meaning. Um, some of them are obvious, like go for it. That's a good meaning. And then there's the chakras all around the outside ring. But then some of these I'll explain to you when the rock lands there. And what I'm asking the garden to tell me is overall, how is Kiba's March going to be? Ooh, you're moving some stuff. You got a little bit in the throat chakra too. Oh, you got one of the best stones you can get on this thing. Your body is sitting in the foundational. These are like the shamanistic elements. And so water is when your body's in water, it means you're going to get a lot of help from grounding elements. Things are going to be just pulling around you and really moving, pulling around you to help you stay stable, which is a good thing, because when you're grounding or your pyrite shows up in water, it said grounding changes are changing into long-term patterns. So the choices you're making right now are extremely important to you. Up here, you have path forward, and it's in the throat chakra, and the path forward, and this is your clarity stone. It says to look carefully at omens at this time because you're moving forward. So, girl, you're moving. I don't know where you're moving to, but we'll get to that. Your mind is between earth and fire, and that's orange calcite stone, and it represents the mind. And your thoughts are all important, but this little bit of it being in fire says you're relying too much on the past. You need to let those things go so all this can just flow forward easily. And your spirit is way up here, almost out of past. And that's kind of funny because it's telling you you've already transformed. You keep saying, what's going to happen this March? It's already happened inside you.
Wow.
You're ready to move forward. But this is the best stone. This means that all the choices you're making and a lot of long-term patterns that are being presented to you are so much more favorable, and you should accept them and go with them. And you've got the clarity to do it. We didn't read your clarity in the third eye, and it's kind of interesting. Oh, throat. I'm sorry, clarity. That's going to tell you to speak your truth, girl. Ideas and wisdom are now flowing freely around you.
Wow.
So you've transformed. You've got all this great energy. It's time to get going. The only thing is, you have this little bitty chip of yourself that you don't want to let go of, sitting here in fire. Let go of it. And that's really a conscious decision you can make. Okay, let's see. What else we got? Okay, some people are saying they agree with me about being out in the world when. Okay, we're going to look at this one. Bosin, will I get back my job? Okay. I'm going to ask if you're going to get a job. And the garden can tell time. This is winter, spring, summer, fall. And we're in the winter, about to come into spring. So let's see where your stones land. What'd you find, Terry? You can talk about it.
It's such a hard time it's so hard to find time. I love that the garden don't tell time. I get, yes, you're going to get a job. But the first thing that popped into my head, Bo, is, do you want that job back? The guides are saying, and I get I mean, that's up to you, obviously, not up to the pendulum. And they're saying, yep, that's right. It's up to you. But just, is there something else out there that you would rather have, Bo? Because it looks like there's opportunities out there. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got a feeling. Okay, what I see is this was in the winter when things were sort of falling apart, and you were in a go for it mood. You were feeling optimistic, but It's clarity. Clarity was in there. You knew the whole time it was falling apart that it was falling apart, and you didn't move on your intuitions when you should have, which is okay. But your mind isn't true. Positive thoughts will help you manifest. I'm getting the feeling you need to change. Maybe, I don't know how easy that is. I don't know what your job market's like. But if you go back to it, you need to make some real changes in it because it was not being fair to you. Your future, which is what you really want to know about, you've got grounding, and all the gifts that are going to come to you are not yet recognized, but you are going to have some really interesting choices to make. And this was winter. This is when you lost the job. This is spring. And it's going to be really close to the beginning of spring that the options are going to change for you. And ground your thoughts. Look at what you really were seeing when you were there. And this is the other stone that tells me kind of the history of this job. And you have a false identification with that job that it's going to really help move you forward. But this, when your spirit's in fire, it says, don't be so tied to the false impressions. Keep your eyes open. So don't look back, look forward.
Yeah, that's funny.
It says spring. It says spring. You're almost, you're hearing, you've heard about a job because you have, your mind isn't true. That will help you manifest. So people are bringing you offers. You're not listening to them because you talk. What you got, girl?
Oh, I pulled freedom. So I feel like, Bo, if you go after another opportunity, you're going to feel that freedom, and maybe you feel tied down to that other position. That there are things there.
Okay, and I'm trying to find some more. We're going to close this down in about 4 minutes, kids. So. I applied, Cindy, for the job this year. Will I get an interview, and would I even want it? I'm going to let you do that with your pendulum because it's going to be much quicker.
Okay.
It's Cindy S.
Well, only you can ask if you would want it. Would Cindy want this job? Okay. When it's free will, this is what happens with the pendulum. It just stops.
It just stops.
So, yeah. So will you get the interview? Yeah, you're going to get the interview.
Why do I think the interview is going to be more of a big no in her mind?
Yeah.
Is that the impression you're getting?
Yeah. I'm getting that you may not want that job, Cindy, or you may not be sure about it, but open up your mind, like change your story about it.
Mm-hmm.
If it's something that you think that would be good for you, just change your story. Like, this is going to be a great opportunity. This is this the last job I'll ever have? No. But is this going to be a fun opportunity to step into and then maybe move forward elsewhere?
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay, I'm going to highlight just a couple more of these because they're
okay.
tied together, and then we get out of here, kids.
Yeah, and some sweet person, Darlene K, sent some money, $19.99. Thank you, Darlene.
Thank you, sweetie.
Yeah, that was very kind.
And I'm not going to answer any more questions unless they're in bold because that's been going under the screen the whole time. And somebody has a family history of Huguenots. They got screwed, man. They all got killed on Valentine's Day. Or was it a Friday the 13th? I'm not sure which one of those two was. Okay. Well, I'm going to go to this one. Okay. I know we talked about that one. Oh, this is a dream question, which I don't do often. She has vivid dreams of same locations and people. I don't know here, but I am close with the dreams repeating. Could that be a parallel life? You know that stuff more than I do.
It could well be a parallel life, Maria, but also we often return to places in our dreams. So, and there's people that we know in those dreams. Like we'll go to the same house, or we'll go to the same event with the same people that are there. Like I go to events with people that I've met on different spiritual things, and I know they're there, and that's really getting together in that realm. So you could know whether it's the same place. And I know my husband's in my dreams a lot too, and we're always looking at houses. So and they're saying, yeah, this can be that. This can be a parallel universe, but it's also it doesn't matter because it's what you're going through right now. So
Okay, this is a real quick one. Any messages from my guides? I'll throw it in the garden and see what they want to tell you, Jean.
okay.
Well, your spirit just rolled off the board, so you can get Oh, you got heart. Yeah, they're telling you to be clear with your own heart. Wisdom comes from the clarity of your own emotions. Your body's going through a lot of changes right now because the body's in Earth, and Earth is where things emerge from. You're spinning out a lot of good thoughts and good ideas into the air, and your thinking's all important, and your fire. In the fire, you have your grounding, and it says you're dealing with a few issues from your past, and as soon as those are done, you're just ready to soar. So, and with that, we will leave the garden. We were going to leave. There we are. There we are. What you got? Ah, that's what you got. Look what you got. A hummingbird. It's perfect for Jean. And for the people who I didn't catch at the very end, I got one more I'm going to show because I think she really needs to see this.
Okay.
And I knew I pulled it out for some reason. Okay. This is another little thingy I have that you have to see on the table, of course. That's why I got away from that camera. You got a doggy that wants some attention.
I know.
Okay.
Oh, I like
this is a dowsing chart, and you can get this for free by going to my website, www. Wait, it's screen, going across the screen right now. And what happens is this is something Danny and I cooked up when we were both beginning to work. We were both trying to figure out how to measure our own frequencies. And this is a quadrant where you measure your own frequencies. And it goes from 10 to 100. And what we've figured out was we just need to put another 0 on that. And so it goes from 10 to 1,000. This is the chart of your frequencies and how to deal with them. And it goes from everything from shame, full consciousness. And the good thing about this dowsing chart, when you're saying your dowsing was getting something from your higher self, I'll tell you that Danny and I put the 3 questions we always ask when we're going to dowse. And it's, do I have permission to dowse? Am I aligned with my higher self? And am I fully protected? And what happened to me was when I went back at Halloween last year to the vintage store I used to read at, and it's a goodbye gift to the owner, I read there for one day. Just said I'll show up and I'll read. And so I had my dowsing, I had all my tools out, my dowsing chart out, pulled out my pendulum, and it was swinging. And I asked, do I have permission to dowse? Yeah, I can dowse. Am I aligned with my higher self? My higher self was all in it. Am I fully protected? It flew out of my hand and went across the shop. Wow. So I had to go around the shop and find what was blocking me. And found that, I found the booth and I found the item, and I know the booth owner really well. And I said, "Where the hell did you get this?" And he goes, "Not good." And he said, "Because my sales really dropped when I put it in my booth." So I'm telling you, you can pull it. It's in resources. It's a little folder on my website. You can open that up and you can find the dowsing chart. So, and with that, I think we need to stop, or we're never going to get out of here, girl.
Yeah. Yeah. Brenda, I feel like sometimes we have to retire a pendulum for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I do that. I have like several, and sometimes it's just a necklace that I pull out.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they want to be retired just for a bit and then pull them back out.
Yeah. And I have different pendulums for different things. When I go out and I I go out, I have a totally metal one, and I carry it because the wind won't blow it. And when I'm out checking ley lines, which I'm doing right now because we're about to have a solstice change, and the ley lines have been growing wider and wider. So I'm trying to figure out how wide has the one that goes to my spirit tree Hogarth, uh, where what's grown with it. But so there's just lots of different reasons. I have a wooden uh, pendulum. I don't even remember why I bought it particularly, but I find some sort of questions late at night. It likes to work.
Yeah. Yeah. I have an all metal one that I've had for about 30 years, and
Mm-hmm.
it's 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 really good, but it's been retired for a bit. A
Well,
few months.
they hold metal holds a lot of energy.
Yeah. Yeah. It was holding some old energy. So this one um Reverend Saul gave me. He
Mm-hmm.
just passed away, and this one was Reverend Saul's, and he was going to come back and get it. Well, he
Mm-hmm.
comes back all the time now to get it after he passed away. So,
Mm-hmm.
but this one's really something.
That's a heavy duty pendulum.
Yeah, that's some big stuff. Got some big stuff there. So,
And I do want to thank Darlene. I finally got further enough. So if
and
y'all are down where Darlene is, your questions are not going to get answered today. But Terry and I will be together, I do believe, unless she's going to get hanging up completely on me.
yeah, no, every 2 weeks we're together here on Mondays.
Mhm.
And Jean gave 1999 too. Jean O.
Oh, okay. I
Thank
know.
you, Jean.
I know Gino, but
Yeah,
let's
thanks
see.
so much.
It's supposed to start. Yep, Gino did too. Thank you, Gene.
Yeah.
Um, and we don't come here to get paid every day, but it's nice. And I do have other things I do, like I build crystal grids, which I'm just starting to get back into doing. I actually looked, and I had not had one since November 11th, and I met with a man Saturday to build him his. And November 11th is about the time that my energy started fading, and it was a rough. When people talk about I'm not feeling good, I totally follow them, because even when I do it, I go through this. But this was the longest patch since I've been on YouTube. I started in December 3 years ago. But I build grids. There's pictures of all of what I do. I have gardens for sale if you're curious about the gardens. If you get a garden, I have a few intro classes I do with you to explain it, because the spirit guides took me to it. So I said, you got to tell me how to explain this to people.
Yeah.
And
And you won't see that anywhere else. I mean, right?
no, there's
Yeah.
this is it. And when these 35 that I have left are gone, they're going to be gone, because the person who took all the stones and cut them up to the right size and packaged it all up for me is not living in their house anymore. And they have I don't I could bring someone in, but I'm not gonna
Yeah.
what I'm not gonna build them unless if someone came and said that's the coolest thing I've ever seen, I want to purchase it, and they want to market it, and they want to deal with it and they want to put it in the mail. I'm here looking for you.
I wonder, have you looked at Hay House? I bet they'd love that.
If you look at the products Hay House sells, they're not as weird as this. I mean, they're not as totally unique and out on their own. But I do know people at Hay House. I actually do. But,
Yeah.
you know, let's put it to you this way. I will be 75 in 6 weeks.
Nice.
And I've been told I'm going to live to be 100. Trust me, there were times this December after I slipped and fell and whooped my knees again, that was looking like a daunting challenge. But now I'm feeling better. I mean, and I've been told by several readers who'd heard me complain about all this that I just needed to lay back and not worry about it because they told me it's coming with the solar eclipse. So.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't, then I'll find another thing to gripe about. What can I say? No, after the solar eclipse, it starts to get really warm here. You'll get to hear me gripe about heat. But anyway, so we're going to end the stream. And I loved seeing all of you and love re-meeting some of you. And please go subscribe to my channel so you can watch me. Tomorrow, I'm going to be doing nothing but garden readings at 1 o'clock. And Thursday, I'm going to be talking about crystals. So.
Nice. Nice.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. See you
Terry,
later.
where are you going this week? What are you going to be doing?
Oh, I've got Sun Psychic Gina's on this afternoon with me.
Well, I'll let you go. So you have some time left to deal with her.
Oh, yeah, we're good. And then tomorrow I've got Mark's Spirit Whisperer on. So.
Oh, good. Okay. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.